Yeah, our place.
That's what we do. We talk to people about Jesus.
So I'm with Tracy, Bowen, LaDonna, Covert. We finally got to meet one another in person.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a weird situation because I feel like I've known so many. You know how it is. You get to know several people. You feel like you get close to them, and you realize if I saw them on the street, I might have to do a double take.
Yeah.
So they just finished up the Call to Freedom conference, with Berean Holiness Conference. What was your first impressions of it?
I thought it was. It exceeded my expectations, I guess I should say. There were more people here than I thought were going to come. And the content was deeper than I thought it was going to be. And the speakers moved me in a big way. They wrecked me. Yeah.
She had to have tissues, y'all.
Yes.
Let's just be real.
Yes.
The mascara is gone, but she's still beautiful. Still beautiful.
What about you, Tracy?
I agree with her assessment of the surprise at the amount of people. I walked in the first day and just looked, and the room was already full. And I remember thinking, wow, my son had drove me here because I broke my right hand, y'all. Oh, have mercy. Lord, have mercy. It's nothing but aggravating is what it is. So I have my son driving me around like I'm some rich person with a chauffeur.
Or an old lady.
Yes, or an old, you had to say that, didn't you? You had to. And so we're driving up and he says, Mom, how many people are going to be here? And I said, I don't really have any idea of what to expect. And I walked in the room and it's full, y'all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful barn in a beautiful, beautiful farm in Kentucky. Absolutely gorgeous setting and a room packed full of people. And from the very beginning, it felt like there was good connection around the table. There was just good conversations happening. CHM isn't the only crazy people out there. There's like all kinds of other crazy people, and we just mixed all our crazy together.
Yeah.
And it was really good, actually, because you know how you feel when you're in that stuff. It's like, I'm the only one. You just feel like you're the only one who has questions or the only belief system that struggles with these kinds of things. And there's a lot of isolation when you're leaving these kinds of environments and you walk into this room and you realize there's a whole lot of people who've had to make this exit, who are making this exit right now. Yeah. And it's just, the beauty of the community is really, really powerful. And I agree with her assessment that the speakers were good. And yeah, it was just good. It was good.
Absolutely.
I felt like I was among internet royalty with the cultish guys and then Jen Brawyer. I had no idea she had such a big following on Instagram. Tracy Bowen from the Hard Work of Hope.
Phil Sparks.
Phil Sparks.
When we saw you, Phil, it was just like the pinnacle. The pinnacle. It was. Everybody else was here, and here you were, right at the top.
Come in with your Hawaiian flowery shirt and cowboy
with his cowboy boots, y'all. With his cowboy boots
and hat. Yeah.
Fashion statement, I guess.
Yes.
One of the guys I was talking to there last night, he said he was initially leery about coming because he was afraid it was going to be a gripe fest.
Right.
And I know there was the old boy in West Virginia, down the southern part of the state. He was kind of claiming it was going to be the same thing. A lot of people were saying it's just bitter thing of people. And I don't know about y'all, I didn't notice that. And he said the same. The guy I was talking to last night, he said it wasn't that. It was very uplifting.
We actually never had a conversation about bitterness at our table at all. That actually never came up. We were just talking through the processes of, figuring out what you really believe. And we did talk about a few difficult family relationships, but it wasn't from a perspective of we're bitter towards them. It's just like how to navigate those things, how to navigate the differences of belief with family members who have stayed and that kind of thing in a way that's honoring. But it was not at all like, oh my goodness, I just hate them and they're just the most awful people, and I'm just struggling so much with this root of bitterness about it, or there was bitterness. It wasn't even the
only angry and bitter encounter was the protester.
The protester we had.
And he's from the church.
We had a visual when we got here, y'all, of like how unhealthy these environments are, because there's one of them sitting at the end of the property with a big old
drove all
sign.
the way from Kentucky.
That he could be out there being all mean. And it's like he just put himself right there so you could look at him and go, oh my goodness, thank the Lord he delivered me from that kind of crazy.
What did the sign actually say?
It said, Welcome church victims.
It was kind of like it was a bit of a almost like a little exclamation point. A little. Here's a little extra reminder of why we all left.
Are you legit?
Well, we're clearly legit.
Absolutely. Well, I know you guys got to get on the. Yes, sir. Yes, I know you guys got to get on the road. But I just wanted to ask you a few things about it. Now, I know you were competing for spots, and this doesn't help any at all.
No, because I still want
This means both of us are on field. There has to be a conversation where it's just me. I want to be that, but clear.
So much. Let me tell you something. It ain't near as hot here as it was in Shelbyville, Kentucky on Saturday afternoon. Saturday evening.
No, not Saturday. Friday.
Well, Friday was bad too, but the one that
Friday was awful.
I never put any numbers to Friday though. Saturday I looked over at a bank, like where they have the thermometers, on those big signs.
Yeah.
And I looked at my truck and at 6 p.m. It was still 91 degrees.
91. Okay. Yeah, it was really hot.
Yeah. Call to Freedom, Berean Holiness Conference.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason we were in Kentucky, by the way. It's nice to have you sitting back there. It's been a little while since me and you did one together.
Yeah. It seems like our schedules were completely off, and I'm freaking exhausted.
Well, that's kind of the way we
Or
do it these
something.
days. It seems that our schedules, nobody's schedule winds up to where the four of us are on anymore.
Right.
We have a bit of a rotating cast, and occasionally it all lines up. We can be together.
Right.
But so we, Miss, me and you, we went down to the Berean Holiness Conference, the Call to Freedom.
Right.
In Simpsonville, Kentucky. Believe it or not, my first time in Kentucky.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been in there. Long time.
Sparks is originally from Kentucky. Well, not originally, but I mean, Lord knows where we're from.
They traveled upwards from
There was a bunch of us there.
Louisiana?
Maryland.
Okay. Either way.
I'd never been to Kentucky. Never had no reason to, really. But anyways, the Berean Holiness Conference. I was glad when I heard they were going to be doing this,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
and I liked Natalie's reasoning behind it. She had mentioned that a lot of times people that leave fundamentalism, they have a hard time rebuilding community, and that is the case.
Yeah.
It very much can be the case.
Yeah.
And so I think it was a good premise, and they also had. They kind of put it on with our friends over at Amateur Faith Night.
Yep.
Specifically Jen. And then, of course, there was a slew of volunteers and stuff and things. But
well, even the speakers were just so influential and just so helpful in making sure that this was a pretty smooth conference.
oh yeah, this conference went right off the top. I'll say this: the conference went very, very well.
Yeah.
It was fantastic, and I hope that there's more of this in the future. I know that it's not set up to be a yearly thing. Boy, I just made a big old noise on my.
I do know that there was a talk of possibly doing another one in the future.
Yeah, there's definitely talk of that, but it's not like first annual. It's not an
Right.
annual thing,
Right.
because quite frankly, they said it takes too much to put it on.
Well, and Natalie is busy. If I'm not mistaken, I think she's still in school or something, and they have their lives that they're trying to work with, and it does take a lot of planning. Yes.
Yeah.
Especially with all the research that they do, and then they do all the other stuff that they're doing. Now they're doing a podcast. Now they're doing other things.
Well, they're busy.
Other Bible studies. They have
They're busy.
a lot going on. It's not just like, one thing that they're doing. Like, they're not just doing a podcast. They're doing multiple levels of social media. So they are very busy.
Yeah. It was first of all, let me say this. The attendance was, I think, much higher than I was expecting.
So I talked to Natalie about it, and I said, so how was the turnout? And she said that barn can hold 200 people that we were at. And I cannot imagine having 200 people in that place. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think she said it was a little bit over 100 that showed up.
I've thought about 120
Yeah.
was kind of what I imagined.
Are we counting kids, though, too, with that? Because I don't think I was including kids with mine.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point. But attendance was higher than I thought
Yes.
it was going to be.
which is awesome. That's a really good problem to have.
Oh yeah, I know Berean Holiness. They're very influential. So
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
I absolutely know that. But still, yet it being the first time they'd ever done an event, and just wasn't sure how it would go off.
Yeah.
But there was people traveled from all over the place to get there.
Yes. I'm trying to remember what was the furthest someone traveled.
I know Tracy come from Florida. I think. There
was a lot of people from Florida.
Was there some people there from Texas as well?
I remember looking at all the license plates, and one of them said Illinois was one of them. Another one said Iowa, Missouri, Tennessee, which is probably LaDonna.
Yeah, it had to be LaDonna.
There were a lot of them.
Well, speaking of those names, so we got to meet so many more listeners.
Yes.
And got to meet some guests in person. Me for the first time. You had met a couple of them before. Mm-hmm. But of course, got to meet Natalie in person. LaDonna Covert, believe it or not, first time in person.
I know. We talk about her so much, but it was actually the first time for you to meet her.
Yep. Tracy Bowen.
Yep.
Of course, the Amateur Faith Night crew. All three of them were there. Now, the thing is, so Jen's there. She's very busy. She's part of the, putting the whole thing on.
Right.
And I see this guy helping to park cars as I pull in, and I'm like, wonder where I know him from. And unbeknownst to me, he's also looking at me the entire evening like, wonder where I know him from. And then we finally put two and two together that, he had been on the podcast. Now, me and Gary, on the other hand, we never, and I told him, please tell Gary that I did not shun him or anything like that. But I knew people was busy.
Right.
So I never really could find quite the what I felt was the proper time to go and be like, hey, Gary, this is me. But so me and him just did the whole thing all night. Just kind of, you catch like stealing glances at one another, like, who in the world is that?
It was almost like you're flirting with each other. Yeah. Just like, you looking at me because I'm looking at you.
Well, Gary is a good looking man. So.
No. I don't even know who you're talking about, really.
Yes. You have to trust me on that one.
That's fine. I will take your word that he was attractive. I am out of that conversation completely. No, I remember being preoccupied a lot with the baby because it was very hot.
Yes.
Very miserable. And it was like some type of heat wave or something, which was, whatever. But it was really nice to be able to be... You didn't even give the name of the conference. It was called Call to Freedom.
I said it 3 times already, I think.
Did not.
Yes.
Oh dear, I am out.
Yeah.
My brain must be like squirrel.
Listeners too. We got to meet a bunch of listeners.
Yes, we did meet. I met people that knew exactly who I was before I didn't even know them. They're like, "Are you the girl from Hillbilly Broadcast?"
I think the first person that greeted us when we walked in the door was like was a listener, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So that was.
I don't know if we're allowed to give out names because, like, this conference, right? We're gonna call it conference. Yeah. It was very private. And
it had to be.
There was a lot of different reasons for that. And so we're not naming off a lot of people because we do know your names. However, some of these people did attend in secrecy. And that was because they were afraid of being treated differently, of the ridicule, because they do have questions and they are not able to ask these questions freely. So, it was an interesting time to be able to meet some people. It was almost like we're a secret club. So it was really cool.
Oh, you also had a protester on the way in.
Yes, there was.
The old boy drove from Timbuktu. He drove a long ways to get there.
Did I hear right? He came from
I think so, but I'm going to bleep that out, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I want this man to get zero attention whatsoever. And this is purely me. Normally I'd be like, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
But I know what this guy's after.
Yes.
It's actually somebody we've sparred with on the podcast before, and I didn't say his name then.
Yeah, and we're not going to start
saying his name. This guy, I'm like, no.
This guy is not worth our 2 cents.
I don't want to give him any kind of notoriety.
No.
Because that's what he's at. That's what he's looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Is
that.
And that's why I'm like, no. Which is not normally the approach I take, but I'll make a special case for him. See, I had the protester there, but she was there as soon as we got there, believe it or not.
He was.
So the old dude. And when I saw him driving past, I'm like, is that who I think it is? And sure enough,
it was. I remember you were like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And I'm like, I don't even know what we're freaking out about.
I did not sound like that. I want to be very clear.
Well, you knew who it was.
I'm quite certain I didn't sound.
You knew who it was.
I didn't know who it was.
Yes, you did. Yep.
The old boy likes to make a scene. But anyways, so we go in. So to the actual conference itself, they had maybe 6 or 8 different sessions of speakers or a panel discussion, whatever. And it would typically run maybe an hour. But what they had was they had split us all up into tables, and I think our table had like 9 at it. I was counting some kids, I think, too.
Yep.
But
4 or 5 children
had us split up into these tables, and then you would have your session, and then after that was done, somebody had already been appointed as the table boss, for lack of a better term. Mm-hmm. And what they would do is they would then they had took notes throughout the discussion, throughout the session, and then they would start asking some questions and get discussion going. And it really worked. It worked extremely well. And we're sitting there across from a family that are, how's it, Branhamites? Joseph Branham, something Branham?
The Message.
Yeah, but I think that's another term for it. Was
I don't know that part of it. I
believe it was.
She told me
I could be
over
wrong.
And over. She was
the
like,
message
this is
was
from
kind
the
of
Message.
yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Which when I hear the Message, I think of that like what ain't there a Bible translation that's like a real paraphrase? It's called the Message as well. I don't know, but anyways, so we're sitting there across from them, and they start. We'd start discussing things and actually learn a lot about them.
Yes.
With their religion. Very strange. By the way,
she was so nice. She was a nurse.
Oh, the whole family was fantastic.
Yes.
So it would you actually had meaningful discussion, and it kind of helped you absorb what you just heard.
Yes.
And I'm of course then I start buzzing around a little bit, talking to this person, talking to that person.
Social butterfly you are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I began to notice how similar all of our cults were.
Yeah. Even though one was like Pentecostal, another one could have been CHM, like different groups, they were all very, very similar.
Well, and the message sounded like half Mormon because some dude like in the 30s said he got a revelation from God and like started this thing. It was like but it was
yes.
It was still so similar to the CHM in a lot of the ways that they'd keep you in line, a lot of the verbiage they'd use, all that. So we all thought for all these years, each one of us, there were I think they said 7 or 8 different church groups represented there by the people that had left them.
Okay.
And we all thought that we were it. We were the one. And we would all say that the other one
going to heaven
was going straight to hell.
Yep.
And coming to find out, we weren't nothing special.
We were not.
We were exactly
in fact,
like.
We were just as lost as the next person.
Yep. It was all the same.
Yeah. It was really interesting. I was able to meet with my former BMI roommate, which was interesting. And then there was another girl who is still in the BMC. She was there. And then there was...
Wait, still in?
Yeah, she's still in. And then there was... That's why I say that like some of this stuff was very secretive. A lot of people did not know that they were coming to this. And then I was able to meet some ex-BMC people, like we're talking recent, have left.
People that have come out of it?
Yes. You talk about hurt, man. You talk about majorly hurt. These people are like, have been crushed emotionally, mentally, to the point that they are broken physically.
Isn't that just about everybody comes out of BMC?
A good bit of them. I personally, I've been damaged, but not as much as a lot of other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was able to escape a lot of that thanks to my parents. Who was your favorite speaker? You were able to hear a lot more than I was.
Anna something or other.
Okay.
But she got a standing ovation.
Did she?
At the end, yeah. I was one. I think you were out taking care of Squeak when she spoke.
Which one? Was that the very, very last one?
Yes, I think she was the last one. She did a very good job. She spoke just how she left and went over into all kinds of world religions, even Wicca and Buddhism, all that.
Really?
Just tried it all.
Wow.
And then when she came back to Christ, she thought she had to go back to what she was raised in, which was fundamentalism. So then she had to work her way through all that, and the whole time having breast cancer, suffered with that. Had while she was in her 20s, if I'm not mistaken. So the lady had a rough road, but she made it through the other side, and gave a very encouraging speech.
Wow. I'm sad I missed that.
It was very good.
That's good.
But yeah, it was. I left there it gave me a shot in the arm, because there are sometimes I feel like I face a little bit of. You can face a little bit of burnout at times, to where life gets in the way, or the topic weighs you down after a while, and you just kind of let it go. And sometimes you ain't got the time to put the work in. But I realized once again, and probably maybe more so than I ever have, that what is done by people that fight against fundamentalism is extremely important.
Yeah.
Because fundamentalism, or hyper-fundamentalism, as Berean holiness likes to call it is extremely, extremely dangerous.
Yes.
There's people there. There were so many people there at Call to Freedom that their lives had been practically destroyed.
Yes.
Friends gone. I mean, you name it. Culture gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it made it more real to me that this stuff is nothing to play around with.
Right.
That it needs to be fought against, and fought against even harder. And that it's important for us to take a stand for what's right, and say, this is garbage, this is baloney, and make sure that we're there to help people as much as we can, be there to listen, push back against it, use scripture to push back against it,
Right.
tell people that there's a better way, because there is.
Yes.
And keep up the good fight.
One thing about the conference, it actually reminded me that the CHM isn't stopping.
No, they're not.
They're going to continue doing what they are doing. And that needs to kind of be a little prod for us, and be like, all right, we need to keep doing what we're doing, because the CHM is going to continue to spit out
Yes, they are.
broken people. And these people are going to need help.
We've got some stuff to cover in the future. Some of these preachers, as late as last night, at the time we're recording this,
Yes.
are still getting up there and preaching absolute just craziness, which some CHM preachers, you won't hear them preach it. They'll leave it alone, and they'll actually preach a pretty good sermon to you. But
They'll actually preach some type of Bible verse or something.
yeah,
Whereas other ones will just preach a personal preference without any scriptural fact or anything to base it on.
Just give you a little teaser. We will be covering this on the next episode. Guy preaching last night was preaching about how horrific that red box vending machines were. They're still impressing that into people's minds, into young people's minds. And there's people sitting in that sermon, sitting in that service last night that heard that, and will take that seriously and think that that's what they have to do.
Yeah.
And that's bullcrap.
Yes.
So,
But anyways, that's a nice teaser for the
nice little
next
teaser.
one we're going to do.
But to kind of wrap up this episode, and I should have the interview with Tracy.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear that.
In the beginning, so that should have already played by this point. But just to wrap it up, it made it all seem so real to me. I got to put faces to the numbers.
Yes.
Whether it be the numbers of listeners or the numbers of the people that write in, whatever. You got to put faces to it. You get to hear their stories and realize that this stuff is nothing to fool around with. It needs fought against hard, freaking hard. And going forward, that's what I intend to do.